vlog, episode 22. Now that the rebound is officially over, I have a full off week. So I did train legs on Monday, but that was just to conclude the week. Now, starting this past Tuesday, I've been off. So what I thought I'd do is show everyone and explain kind of like what my off week nutrition looks like, because it's not fully pared back like you would say a rest day. It's more of a balanced macronutrient plan. So protein is pulled back a bit, carbs are pulled back a bit, and fat's pulled back a bit. And then we have vegetables at a couple meals. So the goal here is just total restoration, meaning I rest, I relax, I nap, I get massage work done, and I catch up on a bunch of work. I don't do any cardio, I don't do any training, I do nothing that is what I would consider super strenuous. I try to sleep in as long as possible, and I actually push my meals back to where my first one doesn't come until 8 a.m. So that way I'm not ravenous all day. I also pulled back from 7 meals to 6 meals. And again, the goal here is just to pull my weight down a bit, because it had peaked at 256.8. And this morning it's Thursday and I was 248.9. So that's a perfect spot with being on low food since Tuesday. And I know, like, once I get back into my training days starting next week, that weight will go right back over 250. So let me show you how I'll start every single morning. It's with a good morning drink with a little bit of creatine and some. Here we go. The morning drinks first thing out of bed. So I do 1 scoop of Good Morning, 5 grams of creatine monohydrate. Now let me show you exactly what's on this or in this, because it's such a great product and very, very easy. So I can get the camera to focus. There you go. So as you can see, glutamine, apple cider vinegar, glycerin, marshmallow root extract, slippery elm bark, lemon juice, and aloe vera concentrate. So that creates a perfect combo for a morning drink to make sure my digestion starts off the day great. I put it in 12 ounces of water, lots of ice, and then I chug a liter of water after finishing this. All right, meal one, here we go, off week. This is gonna be very simple, very balanced, and delicious. So quick eater, like the volume you'll find the food is gonna be down today. So let me flip my camera around and I'll talk through exactly what I'm eating for meal. Left there, I have 3 whole eggs, 1/2 cup of egg whites, 3 ounces of cooked chicken, and then onions and peppers in the omelet. Then I have 50 grams of peanut butter cookie bolognese with 50 grams of banana on top. So again, quick, delicious. I have savory here, sweet there. Easy meal, dominate meal one, and we'll eat again in roughly 2.5 hours. So I'll see you back. All right, 10:30, right on the dot. So you figure that's 2.5 hours after 8, and it is time for meal 2. I am absolutely ravenous at this point. So time to hit this meal. I'm gonna flip my camera around and show you what meal number 2 looks like at 10:30 a.m. So in the bowl here is gonna be, that is 200 grams of 99% lean ground turkey, 150 grams of jasmine rice, 8 grams of avocado oil, and 50 grams of mixed peppers and onions. And I have that topped with Nardi Sanchez, and also that green stuff in there is just a handful of parsley. And then on the right here is gonna be 50 grams of blueberries and 50 grams of raspberries with topped with some Splenda. So incredible meal number 2, just again pared down for both protein and carbs, but actually in this meal my fat is up. So I'm gonna dominate this and get right back to next meal, 1 o'clock. Been working like a madman. Time to take a break, step away, make a meal, take a quick nap, and then we're right back to work. So let me show you what this meal is. It's gonna look very, very similar to my pre-lift meal, except it's gonna be less food. So all the same things, but again, just different quantities of macronutrients. Here we go, guys. We have, so let's start with the sauces, because that's gonna be the takeout sauce and the sugar-free sweet and spicy GQs. I have 200 grams of chicken, 150 grams of rice with 8 grams of olive oil, and I have 100 grams of Cosmic Crisp apple. So this meal will go down super simple. I'll smash this big thing of water, and then again, quick nap, and then right back to work. 4th meal, getting ready to go down. This one is stupid easy. Like, if you can't eat this, I don't even know I can't even describe to you like how simple this is. I'm gonna literally eat ice cream and brownie. Like, so let me flip this camera around and show you exactly. Meal number 4, 3:30. So I have 50 grams of bolognese. That's brownie batter, delicious with some pink sea salt sprinkled on top. Then I have, that is peanut butter whey isolate with 12 grams of natural peanut butter on top, Teddy's. So we have 60 grams whey isolate. We have 12 grams natural peanut butter. I will smash that. It is absolutely delicious. And then I'm right back to work. So again, easy meal. If you look at the crust there, look at that. Oh, that's how you know you did it perfect. So go to my YouTube, follow my cooking instructions on how to do that. But this is gonna be a super easy meal, dominate, and then you'll see my meal 5 coming next, which is equally as delicious. Meal number 5, and a glorious one. So bringing the fat up substantially on this meal with the ground beef, because I'm gonna use 90-10 grass-fed beef. So what I do is I measure 8 ounces raw, and that comes down to 46 grams of protein and 22 grams of fat. And my word, it's delicious. It is so tender, it's so juicy. I let this marinate and soak overnight in Worcestershire sauce and soy sauce. And then I put it on the stovetop and seared it on both sides. Salt, pepper, onion powder, and garlic powder. And then topped it with sugar-free ketchup and sweet poppy mustard. So good. Let me flip the camera around and show you exactly what the rest of the meal looks like. All right, as promised. So that's 8 ounces raw beef. And then we have a medley of potatoes. So that's red, gold, and purple potatoes. As I told you, just sugar-free ketchup, or no sugar ketchup, sweet poppy sauce, and then 100 grams of pineapple to help with digestion there of that red beef or red meat. So delicious meal. Small fork for the fruit, big fork for the meat and potatoes, because I'm super classy, right? Delicious meal 5 going down. Sits out in the middle of the night, coming off the stovetop and out of the fridge. This is by far my biggest meal, most dense as far as calories, carbs, and fats go. And I do that so I sleep like an absolute child. And trust me, if you ever saw Angela, she will confirm. So let me flip the camera around and I'll show you coming out of the pan and then already in the bowl. 200 grams of cooked chicken, 150 grams of jasmine rice. Then it's got 6 grams of olive oil and that's cooking in. Same sauce as earlier, takeout and sweet and spicy GQs. Then the dessert of the night. Oh my word, look at that. That is 50 grams of American pie, 100 grams of apple, and 16 grams of almond butter with sea salt. In the fridge, I've been having that in there since meal 4. So as you can see, it's frosted. Absolutely delicious. That's my dessert. Here's the main course. Now let's get the grill. And final wrap up here. So yesterday I filmed a full day of eating on my off week. So as a reminder of how things went. So show week went by. Then I started my rebound. After 3.5 weeks of rebound, I needed 3 days off. I took that, rested, recovered, good to go. I pushed up until 56 days post-show, so that is 8 weeks, right? And then I knew I needed a full off week. And honestly, it's not a full off week because I trained Monday, but then I took Tuesday, and then I'll finish the last off day on Sunday. So today's Friday, 2 more days of off before I start my official off season in terms of really trying to aggressively drive my body weight north as well as my performance. And honestly, like, the weight I'm not as superly concerned about. Would I love to hit like 260, 265? 100%. But if I'm thinking about long-term success for me as a 41-year-old bodybuilder, like, I'm all day long going to be much more concerned with my performance in the gym, my digestion, and if I focus on those 2 things, the scale weight will go north and the size of my muscle will be improved or increased. So what I thought I'd do here is just kind of a quick recap of the day. If you look at the total macros of the off week, which I'm really ecstatic with, you figure I cut the 7th meal that I was eating, and I was on 7 meals. I discovered it like 2 or 3 days post show because I was just ravenous and I couldn't sleep. So I would add a 7th meal. And depending upon what it was, at the beginning of that rebound, I was keeping things really super tight. So it was just protein and vegetables to start. And then as I got deeper into the rebound, that began to be a more hearty meal. So again, when I say hearty, I just mean more heavily macronutrient than just protein and vegetables. So the first thing I did was simply cut the meal 7. So if I'm looking at how to structure an off week, that's what I did first. Now, if you're eating 6 meals, you could cut to 5. That would be a great strategy, especially if you're hungrier, because that way each meal would be more calorically dense. So if you push, say, how long you waited until eating meal one, you could have 5 meals the rest of the day, and that works really well too, if you prefer bigger meals. So that was step one. Step two was reducing the protein. I really drive protein north in the rebound phase to help with satiation, but also to drive muscle repair, healing, as well as just I love meat. So I'm sure someone will clip that. Now, so that's step one and step two. Now, as a whole, I'm going to pull back on a lot of carbohydrates because my diets are typically very high carbohydrate base, and then my fat's going to be left alone or maybe even bumped up. So the total macronutrients for the week are going to be 333 grams of protein, 335 grams of fat. Let me retry that. 333 grams of protein, 335 grams of carbs, and 85 grams of fat. And what that totals is 3,437 calories. And when I look at that macronutrient breakdown, it is 38% protein, 38% carbs, and 22%. Now I'm leaving off some decimals there, so I'm rounding. If I want to be, let's be specific. It's 38.75% protein, 38.99% carbs, 22.26% fats. So I'm still protein and carb heavy in terms of the percentages, but for me, my normal ratio is way different. So just to give you a contrast, I ended with my highest day of food. That was, let me find that plan here. Dun, dun, dun. I think it was, yep. No, yep. There. Okay. Why is that not going to go? Okay, cool. Here we go. So I ended with my highest day of food being 382 grams of protein, 732 grams of carbs, and 60.5 grams of fat. Putting that was 5,000.5 calories. So pretty good. I feel very happy with that. Now, there were some individual days where I drove calories much more north depending upon the workout. But as a whole, that was what I would consider my base day of food. And then obviously I said I had high days built in there, but my base level highest values were 732 grams of carbs. So I feel really good about that. Like I said, I had high days that were over 1,000, but I don't want to focus on those high days because people get all caught up on those. But my base food, just for everyone out there, got built to 382 grams of protein, 732 grams of carbs, and 60.5 grams of fat, putting me at literally 5,000.5 calories as my base day nutrition on a training day. So back to that off week, and the focus with that, I just want to simply remove food volume, and that's going to be just easing up on my digestion so I'm not bogged down with meals. I also, as I spoke earlier in the video, I try to push my food later, where normally I'm eating meal one 6:30 to 7 or maybe 7:30 at the absolute latest. I intentionally moved meal one to 8 or 9 o'clock, depending upon my day, right? So, like for example, I have the chiropractor on Tuesday at 8:45. I'm not going to eat at 9 o'clock because I'm going to be in her office getting worked on. So, like that day, for example, I ate at 8 o'clock. Today, where I had nothing but client work, I didn't eat my first meal until 9. So, again, kind of being flexible with the day that I filmed, I think I ate the first meal at 8. So, again, I try to push that food back so that I don't end up at the end of the night where I'm absolutely ravenous. So as a whole, you'll find that my protein sources tend to be chicken as the base. I always look at it that way. I have egg whites, I have whole eggs. I do ground beef or steak. That day I did ground beef, and I opted for a fattier cut of ground beef because I wanted all those healthy fats. And then obviously ground turkey is huge for me. So on a normal base day, I would not have the red meat. I would just have turkey twice. So I'm always going to start most days with some sort of egg and chicken meal. It just digests well for me. And then the carbs will depend upon, what I'm feeling. If I have the Awakens waffles, I definitely filmed for you guys the peanut butter cookie and banana, which is delicious. And that just kind of progresses the day goes on. And again, the off-week meals don't differ all that much. The macronutrients are just swapped around because, if you look at carb sources, it's all primarily rice-based, and then I have a potato meal. I didn't have oats that day, just because I didn't want any. The day before, I actually had 2 oatmeals. So again, I kind of use that free flowing and macronutrient match for foods that I view that are similar. It's obviously very Bola Gains heavy because it's delicious and it's like eating dessert. And it's something that I personally believe that coupled with fruit allows me to stay on a meal plan year round and have no cheating issues. And I know if you're out there and you have a sweet tooth and you're like, Chris, like, how do you beat those cravings? Like fruit and Bola Gains all day long. Like I don't know what to say. Like that, and especially if you pair that with a Ninja Creamy, dear God, it's like eating ice cream, soft serve ice cream. So you just have to be intelligent with your meals and then finding ways to cook and prepare things that taste delicious. Like that turkey meal where I have the ground turkey, which most people hate, you just don't cook it right. Obviously, I mince mine up. I put fresh rice in there, then I have onions and peppers, put parsley, and then I season it with salt, pepper, and Mrs. Dash, and then I top it with Nerdy Sanchez. You cannot tell me if you tried that, especially when I'm cooking it in 8 grams of avocado oil, that meal tastes disgusting. Like, or it doesn't have flavor, I guess is a better way to put that, or it tastes like sawdust is what I hear a lot. So it just comes down to simple preparation, guys and girls. Like, if you look at how I do that chicken, I cook a big batch of chicken twice a week, and I literally just shred it by hand. And it's as simple as that. It's absolutely delicious. So grilled meat, I have a giant grill that gets, I think I've gotten as many as 30 breasts on it. So you just load it down, let it cool. With it being cool in Virginia, I let it cool beside the grill in the cool air. So I air chill it and then bring it in, shred it by hand, and then I package up what I will not eat in the next 3 days and I freeze it. So that way it doesn't have that weird funky like chicken juice, chicken smell, starting to smell foul. So that way I have fresh chicken, and then I have an extra bag in the fridge that when I get down to like the last serving or two, I'll take it from the freezer, put it in the fridge, and then it's de-thawed by my next meal. So, and then if you look, like I do the Ninja Creamy with the peanut butter on top. Cheat. The grass-fed beef, I cook that fresh. So, for years, when I was working at Gold's, I would just reheat my beef, right, in a microwave. And I've just found that if I was able to go back and work that type of job, I would just save my red meat meal for the final meal. And that's so I can cook it fresh on the stovetop. Or if I'm eating a steak, I can either have that in the crock pot where it's ready for me to pull out, or just put it on the grill. Because red meat to me will always be better fresh. So I view that very similar to eggs. And when I worked at Gold's, my opposite end meals, so the start of the day, end of the day, were always fresh meals. So I said eat the middle 4 or 5 reheated in the microwave, which to me, turkey and chicken reheat in the microwave just fine. I have no issue with that whatsoever. So if you look at the whole of that, it's very balanced. I think if anybody looked at it, they might say it's vegetable deficient, but listen, this is what's always worked for me. I had 0 digestive issues, and it's just what I like. I'm not a big vegetable guy. I used to smash vegetables, and all it did was come out of my pores, make me gassy and bloated, and give my stomach a weird look. So, again, onions and peppers kind of work for me. In a prep, I would add some broccoli slaw or some asparagus, but in the off season, it's just not for me. So again, I'm not saying that is for everyone. If vegetables do your body great and they digest well, by all means, have at it and hammer it. But that's exactly how I set up my off week leading into an off-season blast phase. So I am beyond excited to take my calories up north because, again, listen, this is the final piece I want to talk on. I have been hungry all week. It's not a big deal. Well, Chris, you can take it right at True Tide. Well, kick rocks, bro. Like, that's a good thing. Hunger is a good thing. I had to fight for a fucking decade to have hunger eating this much food. And I know this, for some people that doesn't sound like a lot of food, but when I first started bodybuilding, if you would have gave me this meal plan, it would have been hard for me to get it all down. Because my appetite was never big, not as a young bodybuilder. And I had to literally fight and learn how to eat. And the last thing I want to do is take some synthetic hormone or drug, peptide, whatever the fuck you want to call it, and intentionally slow my digestion. No, I want it fast. I want it lightning fast. I want, when those nutrients hit my body, I want them into that muscle and building it, right? It's the whole Milo Sarchev principle, right? That's why I've always believed in his way. If any human on the planet has proved that he knows how to put muscle on adult males, it's Milos. And we aren't studying enough of his stuff. We just aren't. And I'm not saying you need to go do giant sets and double split training days, but there's definite things we can learn from him. And to me, it was high protein, high carbs, smash workouts with intensity, rest, grow, repeat. And like that's just what's always worked for me. And I've had coaches that try to push my dietary fat high. It did not work. It just made me fat. And even though I'm not saying that dietary fat is bad for us, obviously I need a certain amount in there to not only keep my bones, ligaments, joints, tendons feeling great, my hormones being in a good spot, my cognitive function being high, but what I want to think about is like, to me, when I overload fat, and that's anywhere probably north of 90 grams in a day, that's when I begin to run into problems. And again, I've had my dietary fat as high as 150 grams in a day, and that did nothing but slow my digestion and make me fat. So again, to each his own. But for me, this is the way I do it. You're welcome to mirror this or pare it down based upon your body weight. So to give you an idea, my body weight fasted when I took this whole video was 248.9 pounds. And I still have veins in my arms, veins in my legs, can see my abs every portion of every day. So to some context there. So again, this week, no training, no cardio. Literally, the only time I did anything remotely physical and exercise was when I trained Daxton and Axel, and then Chaz and I did a full day of filming on Tuesday for YouTube. So I actually had to demo some exercises. So I definitely did some training there and got some contractions in. It wasn't nothing heavy. So thanks guys for watching. I know this wrap up was a little bit long-winded, but I want to kind of explain the thought process behind everything and give you an idea of what the macronutrients were for each meal. So until next time, like, share, subscribe. Christmas TV.